supposed to make this video so many days ago, but I've been working and a lot of stuff then came up. So I'm gonna do it now. I feel like it's not too late to do it now. It is officially Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So I'm going to try to at least, you know, post a short clip or a video every day this month instead of doing the Vlogtober, whatever everybody else is doing. I'm gonna actually do something for Domestic Violence Month. But basically the video I wanted to make was about just that, domestic violence, sexual abuse, you know, women supporting each other. I feel like a lot of women don't speak out when it comes to domestic violence, and a lot of women basically hold it in until it gets to the point where they can't hold it in anymore because they've been hurt to the point where, you know, and now everyone knows about it. So I think that I'll probably tell my story first about when I was in a domestic violence relationship and how I basically told myself like it was time to move on. So I've mentioned like a couple times in other videos that I dated a guy when I worked at Cedar Point, and like it wasn't really like, now that you can never really say like there were signs because you don't really know what to look for before it happens. So now that I'm, you know, past it and we've been broken up for years, I'm able to look back now and be like, wow, that was a sign. But at the time I didn't know. So I had just got out of a relationship with a guy that had ended up getting locked up, and we were 18, and I ended up going to work at Cedar Point for the summer. And in the mix of me trying to kind of find myself and move on and become my own person, I met a guy that I worked with at Cedar Point. And we started off just kind of like hanging out, being friends, and then it eventually moved on to a sexual relationship. I was with him like every day. I was basically in his dorm every day. And like now that I look back at it, I can see like the signs. You know, he was angry. We would argue a lot. Like he would say little things, and like in the back of my head now I'm like, dang, like I didn't peep that. But at the time I'm like, oh, he ain't mean no harm when he said that. But there was one time, the first time he ever got physical with me, we were play wrestling, and he grabbed me a little too hard by my arms. Now in the dorms they had like lockers, so he grabbed me and like kind of pushed me against the lockers like in a playful way, but he kind of grabbed really hard to the point where it left fingerprints on my arm, and I was like, ow, that kind of hurt. At the time, like I said, I didn't think about it because I'm like, whatever, like he ain't never hit me or nothing. So yeah, that happened, and you know, I was like, ow, that hurt. He was like, I'm sorry, baby, I didn't mean to hurt you. So he was very sincere about it, and it didn't happen again for a while. Now I won't really say that that was, you know, domestic violence, because we was playing, like, you know, we was play wrestling, we was laughing, it was funny. But the first argument we ever got into, I'm not gonna tell y'all why we got into an argument because it's kind of personal, but we basically was drinking, and some stuff ended up happening that night. We were drunk, and I remembered what happened the next morning. So kind of rolled over and looked at him and asked him about it, and he kind of lied about it. Even though I had knew, he lied about it. And I was just like, why are you lying? Why are you lying? So I guess he got irritated with me saying he was lying, even though he was. So he walked out to go to the bathroom, which was actually in the hallways of the dorms. And he went to the bathroom, and I kind of closed the door and locked it behind him. Because I'm like, no, you're not coming back in until you tell me the truth. So I didn't put my hands on him, but I locked him out of the dorm room. And he was banging on the door and yelling and cussing, let me the fuck in my room, and all this other stuff, and calling me all types of names. And this was like, we met in June, and we started talking like July. So this probably happened in October, because this was right before I left Cedar Point and decided to come back home. So he was knocking on the door for a while, and I was just kind of like, I'm not letting you in until you tell the truth. So I finally opened the door. And mind you, I'm in, what did I have on? I had on night clothes because it was hot, you know, in them dorms, they ain't have AC. So I had on like some shorts and a tank top, I think, and some socks. But I finally opened the door to let him in, and he grabbed me and like was choking me in the hallway and was like, bitch, don't ever lock me out of my room. And it was people walking by and they was seeing it, and he just like you can tell like when somebody's done it before because they don't have any fear in their eye. Like it was just like his eyes, like all he saw was red. It was just like hatred. And he was just like choking me in the hallway to the point like I thought I was gonna pass out. And that was the first time he ever put his hands on me. And you know, after that, I was just like, dang, like, but you know, when you in an abusive relationship, you tell yourself, well, it's my fault. Maybe I shouldn't have did that. So I blame myself. Maybe I shouldn't have locked him out of his room. I shouldn't have did that. That was stupid. So I ended up going to my room. I didn't talk to him for like maybe 2 weeks. I mean, he tried to text me and stuff, but we didn't really like talk. I didn't go see him. I didn't go to his house. And he finally sent me this long text apologizing. And you know, when you in that type of relationship, you vulnerable, you're weak. So I obviously was like, okay, I forgive you. So I went back over there. And the second time he put his hands on me, we were arguing because he lied about somebody he was talking to. And me and him were basically, we hadn't put a title on our relationship, but we were together every day. So in my mind, I'm like, just be honest. You know, if you're talking to other people, just let me know. And he kept saying he wasn't. So one of the girls he was talking to came to the dorm that night when I was there and knocked on the door, and I opened it and it was her. And I'm like, oh, so you've been lying. So we ended up getting into it over that, and he slapped me. And when he slapped me, I'm like, this nigga, okay, now I'm in my head like, all right, he got anger problems. So like all of that stuff happened, and you know, every time he was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, we would always like start talking again. He would get back in my head, make me think he was so sorry and like he didn't mean it. So I ended up leaving Cedar Point the end of October. And I basically left because the last altercation we got in at Cedar Point was really bad, to the point where I was actually in the hospital. So I don't remember why we was arguing, honestly. I don't even remember at this point. But I know that there was liquor involved. At the time, I was 19. I know that there was liquor involved, and, you know, we was arguing, and, you know, he was choking me and all this other stuff. He was smacking me. I was hitting him. Like, it was a lot of stuff that happened. Now, I'm not going to say, like, well, he hit me first. I had to hit him back because I don't feel like women should put their hands on men, and I also don't feel like men should put their hands on women. So, you know, I probably did provoke him. Like, I was kind of pushing him, and this was like when I was still young. You know, I'm 24 now. I'll be 25 next year. So it's like I still had the child mindset, and I wanted to argue all the time. Like, when I was in a relationship, I liked to argue all the time. So, you know, I would provoke him. I would get in his face. I would cuss at him. I would call him out his name. I would push him and stuff. And this one particular time, we got into it really bad, and I actually hurt my knee really bad, and he kind of sat on the bed and dug his knee into my stomach, and I started bleeding really bad. Now, I still to this day do not know if I was pregnant or not. I do not know. I ended up going to the hospital. They didn't even check me for that. They told me that they assumed it was a menstrual bleed because that was the time I was supposed to start my period. But it was just kind of weird how as soon as he did that, within like minutes, I was bleeding heavily, like really heavy, to the point where it was running down my legs and stuff. So, I ended up getting rushed to the hospital or whatever. My brother that I was cool with at Cedar Point, he's not my brother, but me and him are still really close. He saw me get into the ambulance, and he was like, sis, what's going on? And I told him he wanted to, of course, beat the dude's ass. I'm like, it's not worth it. You know, it was my fault too. So I ended up going home. You know, my mom didn't know anything that was going on. And I think my brother called her and told her. And she was like, you need to just come home. So I went home. And, you know, we didn't talk. This was the end of October, beginning of November. We didn't talk for like 7-8 months. It was a while before we talked again. And the next time we talked, I had just gotten my own apartment. I was still 19. Because I turned 19 in May, and all of this happened in October. So No, I was 20. My bad. I was 20. I had just turned 20 that next May because we went 8 months without talking. So my dad had got me an apartment where he stayed at. And, you know, me and Kyle was talking, and, you know, I told him that I missed him and everything. And, you know, everything was kind of going good. We didn't argue or nothing. We wasn't really getting into it. And he was still working at Cedar Point at the time. So New Year's rolled around, and he was like, you know, I want you to come and, you know, see me for New Year's. My bad. No, I was 19. I was 19. Because I was 19, I left Cedar Point October of 2015. Or not 15, 13. Came home. So October, November, December. We went 3 months the first time without talking. And them 3 months when we didn't talk, we started talking again on New Year's. My bad, y'all. I got to backtrack for a minute. We started talking again on New Year's. He told me to come up to the dorm and spend basically, you know, 2014 with him when the New Year came. So I went. I caught the Greyhound up to Sandusky. I stayed with him for New Year's. And this is the last big fight that we got into. We got into one more fight after this, but it was months down the road. So this time, a lot of the stuff we argued about, I don't even remember why, but I know that we were talking, and next thing I know, we was arguing, and it was bad. Like, he actually, like, poured bleach all in my hair, and it was bleach or some type of, like, cleaning material or something, but he poured it all in my hair. It was getting in my eyes. And then he actually, like, pushed me onto the floor, like, by my head and sat on my back so I couldn't get up. He was choking me. He was smacking me all in the face. Like, it was bad. So, you know, after that happened, I had bruises. I had bruises all up my arm. One day he bit me. He bit me on the back of my arm. My mom kept asking, what happened to your arm? And I kept lying, nothing. But you could clearly see it was teeth marks. I always, like, when I worked at Cedar Point, I would go home on the weekends, and I would always come home with bruises, and my mom was always like, why do you always have bruises on you? But I never would tell her, like, oh, we was fighting. Like, I never told her. So that happened on New Year's, and I ended up going back home. And when I went back home, you know, I was just like, maybe we don't need to talk anymore. And this was when I was finally trying to, like, leave and tell myself, like, I don't need to be in this relationship. But, you know, abusers can guilt trip you. So that was in January. I got my apartment in June. And it was June of 2016. Or I keep saying 16, my bad, y'all. 2014 in June. And I moved into my apartment. And somehow we rekindled. I think he came home from Cedar Point, and his mom ended up staying around the corner from me, or his dad, and we ended up rekindling. And yeah, so my dumbass got back with him. We actually moved in together, and we lived together for about 4 months. And it was just like, the first month it was happy, like we were good, we didn't fight. And then, you know, I'm starting to get older now. I'm 20 now. At this time, I'm 20. I had just turned 20. So, you know, I'm getting to this point where I want to date. I want to explore. I want to meet other people. And my feelings for him just kind of started to fade away. But I didn't tell him right then. So, you know, I ended up, we were arguing a lot. Like, he put holes in my doors and stuff. Like, after the first month we was there, he started, like, getting, like, violent again, and he would kick the doors in. This is before he actually started, like, trying to put his hands on me again. He would, like, kick stuff around the house and put holes in the wall and in the doors. And the last fight we got into was because I went out with my friend Jasmine, and I went to her house. Mind you, I didn't do anything. I just went to her house for the night. He thought I was sleeping with somebody, even though I told him, you know, before I left, I don't want to be with you anymore. I'm not happy anymore. And when I came home, I told him that I wanted all of his stuff out. And he basically told me no, he wasn't leaving. So he proceeded to tell me that he paid half of the rent. I told him it doesn't matter, your name's not on the lease. If I want you to leave, you need to leave. He refused. And I was on the phone with Jasmine, and she was asking me what was going on. And, you know, that was my best friend at the time. So I was telling her, you know, this is going on. He won't leave. I'm about to have to call the cops on him. And I came into the living room and she said, walk up to him and tell him to please leave your house. So I came up to him and I said, you know, I really want you to leave. And he kind of stood up and got in my face. And when he stood up and got in my face, I said, get the hell out of my face. And he proceeded to smack me while I was on the phone. And my friend Jasmine was like, bitch, did he just put his hands on you? And I said, yeah. So he kind of smacked the phone out of my hand and tried to put his hand over my mouth, and I bit him. And when I bit him, obviously he let go. And, you know, I had a big ass mark across my face from where he slapped me. And I promptly called the cops. I picked my phone up. I told Jasmine, you know, I'm gonna call you back. She's like, bitch, I heard all of that. You need to call the police. So I called the cops. They came. I told them what happened. I went downstairs to walk them up. They got up there and this nigga was on the couch acting like he was asleep. And the cop was like, excuse me, young man. And he was like, yeah, man, I don't know what's going on. I've been asleep. And the cop was like, she clearly has slap marks and bite marks on her body. So you're not asleep. One of you was going to jail tonight. I'm just going to tell you that. And he kind of looked at me like the guy that I'm talking about looked at me on the couch and was like, and kind of had a smirk. And the cop looked at him and said, no, you're going to jail. And he was like, why? What'd I do? He's like, you put your hands on her. She has marks on her face. Her eye is bruised. She has marks. She has scratches. You have not a mark on you. I hadn't put my hands on him. I didn't put my hands on him that night. And yeah, so they took him to jail. And after that, I packed all of his stuff up. I told his mom, you know, you need to come get his stuff. I'm done. I don't want to be with him anymore. I was over it. And that was the last time that, you know, we were together in a relationship. But, you know, it might not sound like it was a lot that happened, but, you know, some of that stuff, I could have been really injured. Like, you know, when he choked me, I could have passed out to the point where I lost brain cells, you know, pouring bleach in my eyes. Like, I could have been, I could have went blind. And it's just like a lot of stuff that I'm like, dang, like, when I started bleeding that day, I'm like, I mean, if I was pregnant, I'm thankful I had a miscarriage because I can't imagine having a child with him. He's in the army now. He's all the way in Japan, but it's like, you know, I know he's bettered himself. He's reached out to me and we've talked on a friendship type of level, but we both agreed that as far as a relationship, we can't do it. Now as friends, we're amazing as friends. We get along perfect as friends, but in a relationship, we can't be in a relationship. I hung out with him a couple times before he went to the army. You know, last summer, I hung out with him a couple times and we got along great. He took me out to dinner, you know. It was a fun time, and we both just agreed that we just aren't meant to be in a relationship together. We can be friends, but as far as a relationship, we can't do it. He's helped me out a lot, you know. Last year when I was going through all that stuff, he helped me out a lot. He helped me get Amir stuff out of layaway for Christmas last year, and he's a great friend, but, you know, I don't want anybody to sit here and be like, fuck that, he's an asshole, because he's not a bad guy. It was just, we were young, and a lot of stuff was provoked, and I pushed his buttons, he pushed mine, and we lashed out on each other. Overall, he is a really great guy. He's very, 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 very helpful. He's very supportive, but we just couldn't be in a relationship. And, you know, that relationship was 3 years on and off. It taught me a lot. It taught me, like, you know, not to let my guard down, because there was times he would cheat on me, he would lie, and, you know, I would sit there and wonder, like, why is he lying about it? Just tell me the truth. Like, if you don't want to be with me, just let me know. So, you know, it's been 4 years since we've been together. And I still, like, a part of it, obviously, a part of it still kind of hurts me inside, because I'm like, dang, like, I went through a lot them 3 years. Like, I kind of wasted 3 years of my life. But, you know, I'm happy I went through it, because I feel like nothing in my life is a mistake. Because everything you go through has a purpose. Everything you go through has, you know, a reason. And I feel like God doesn't put, you know, things in your life that you aren't going to, like, you know, be able to accomplish or deal with or get over. So I won't say it was a mistake being with him, but I would definitely say I learned a lesson and I know what to look for now. Now, The second guy is actually the guy I lost, like, that I lost my virginity to. I was 16, and that was my first abusive relationship. And he wouldn't slap me, but he would do like little things. I would make him mad and he would like reach over and pinch me real hard. Or you know, he would be mad at me and I would go to hold his hand and he would kind of like grab my fingers and push all of my fingers back.
Mama?
Hi, baby.
Daddy, come.
Come here. Want to sit with me?
Yeah.
He would kind of like grab my hands and kind of like push all of my fingers back to kind of like make me let his hands go. And that guy had a lot of effect on my life. I was young, and the last time that he, you know, got physical, I broke up with him. And when I broke up with him, he actually tried to commit suicide. And it was like, it was rough because he called me. So when he did it, you know, he was texting me at first, and
No.
I wasn't really sure, you know, what was going on, but he was texting me like weird messages, and he's like, you know, I'm gonna miss you, and when you think about me, just look at the sky, and all of these weird like messages that I didn't understand. And he finally was like, you know, he just came out and said it, like, I took 92 sleeping pills. And I was like, what? And he's like, I took 92 sleeping pills. And I thought he was joking. And he called me, and his voice was slurred, and he just kept saying he loved me. And it was just something in my heart just didn't feel right. So I called his mom. And at the time, I'm 16, and he was, you know, 18, I believe. 17 going on 18. And I called his mom, and I said, you need to go check on him. And she went upstairs. And I stayed on the phone, and I just heard her screaming. And she opened the door and was just screaming, and I heard her crying, and she told his little brother to call 911. And that had such a big effect on my life. Like, when I actually think about it now and look back at it, I think that's where a lot of my depression came from. That's where a lot of my, like, having a guard up came from. Because that really, like, it affected me. It affected me a lot. And, you know, I heard the ambulance, they were pumping his stomach, and it was a lot. It was a lot to go through at 16. That was my first boyfriend, a guy I lost my virginity to. And to hear, you know, someone that you really care about try to kill themselves, it's just like, dang. And the fact that he called me and I was on the phone with him, you know, it just made it even worse. Because it's like, I kept thinking about it over and over. And I kept blaming myself. You know, if I hadn't broke up with him, he would have never tried to kill himself. And it was rough. Like, I didn't go to school for a while after that. I know his mom ended up sending him to Louisiana with his family for 3 months. I didn't see him for 3 months. And he finally came back, and I was so happy to see him. And, you know, we still talked. But it was just like, I always in the back of my mind was worried. Like, if I leave him, what if he tries to kill himself again? Or what if he does this? Or what if he does that? So I was always afraid. So I couldn't really genuinely be happy in that relationship. Because it's like, I felt like I was pressuring myself to be with him just so he wouldn't kill himself. And that's not healthy. And that's what a lot of other women, like, I try to get women to understand. Don't just be with the person because you're afraid of them killing themselves. Don't just be with somebody because you don't want them to hurt themselves, because that's not fair to you. Like, that's not fair at all. If you genuinely love that person, get them some help. Don't just stay with them because of their depression. Because in the end, you're just going to depress yourself. And there's nothing worse than two depressed people being in a relationship together. Like, that's the worst. So, you know, fast forward to now, he still has issues. He's still suicidal. And it's just like, I've kind of distanced myself from him. And I'm like, you know, I can't associate with that because I don't need that negativity in my life. I have children I have to live for. I have people that look up to me. I can't. Like, I'll be a friend to you, but I can't be with you. And, you know, that just really, that was a lot of where my depression came from, honestly. I noticed after that, you know, I kind of started, like, I kind of started, I'm not even gonna lie, I'm not gonna sugarcoat nothing. I never sugarcoat anything with you guys, but you know, I started sleeping around. I did. I was young, I was 16, but I started sleeping around because I had that hurt inside of me that was like, you know, I wanted to feel that love, and he wasn't in the mindset to show it to me. So, you know, I did. I started sleeping around. I wasn't sleeping with a lot of people, but, you know, I started to have sex more, is what I should say. And, you know, I noticed, like, even though I was having sex, it still wasn't filling that void. And that's when, you know, I finally told my mom, like, I think I might, you know, something might be wrong. And I was diagnosed with bipolar. And, that, you know, when I got diagnosed with that, I was just like, dang, so I'm stupid. Like, I'm crazy. I can't control my emotions. And it kind of made me feel like, you know, less of a woman. It made me feel like less of myself. They tried to put me on all these different medicines, and it was just, it was rough. I went through a lot in middle school. You know, I found all of this out in middle school and the beginning of high school. So I went through a lot. And I suffered from anxiety really bad. I would have nightmares all the time about people I loved, like, killing themselves. And, you know, it was in high school that I started losing a lot of friends. And it was just like every year it was like back to back. Like, all my friends was just like getting killed and dying, and I just got really depressed, you know. Markel died right before I went to work at Cedar Point. And Kyle kind of voided that, the guy that I'm talking about. He kind of like voided that hole in my heart. And I think that's why I stayed with him for 3 years, because it was like I was losing so many people. Like, I lost, between the time that I started high school until now, I've lost 35 friends. That's a lot. From the time that I turned 17 until 24, I've lost 35 friends. And it's sad because a lot of them I went to school with. A lot of them I graduated with. So it's like, dang, like, everybody that I've graduated with or went to high school with is basically dead. Like, literally. So, you know, it was a lot. But that's off the subject. I just, like, I don't want women to, you know, feel like it's their fault. It's never your fault. You know, if somebody puts their hands on you, please leave. Please, please leave. Because it's not worth you getting hurt. It's not worth them going to jail. It's not worth you dying over a guy. Like, just please leave. Or over a woman. I'm not even going to say just over a guy, because women put their hands on men too. But it's just not, it's not worth that. So, you know, walk away. It's easier said than done. And I know y'all probably like, but you stayed for 3 years. Just listen to my advice. If you feel like you are in an abusive relationship, you can message me. I will talk to you. I will help you through it. I've had a couple young girls reach out to me the last couple days. Message me. Ask me for advice. Ask me what you should do. I will be there. I don't care what time it is. If you know me personally, if you know me personally, you know you can call me at any time. If it's something going on, I don't care. If it's 4 o'clock in the morning and I have to work at 6, I will answer the phone. I will listen to you. I will be there. I don't care, because I would rather me spend them 2 minutes on the phone with you listening to you cry, or those 2 hours on the phone with you listening to you cry, than to have a friend die because I wasn't there when they needed to talk to me. So I just, it's a lot. And domestic violence is no joke, you know. It's not a joke. It's really not. And I see a lot of these women bashing other women because they were in a domestic violence relationship, and they're like, well, you're stupid because you stayed. And it's like, if you haven't been through it, you don't understand. Like, you can't judge a woman if you've never been through that. So, you know, as far as the people keep asking me about the Parker situation, as far as that, we don't really know what happened, so I can't really speak on that. But I will say that, you know, if that was to happen, just stay out of it. Like, it's not worth going back. If he indeed did put that black eye, them black eyes on your face and bruise your arms like that, baby girl, don't go back. Because next time, it's just going to get worse. It's going to get worse every time. It starts off with something little, And before you know it, they're throwing bleach in your damn eyes. So it can get worse. It never gets better. A domestic violence relationship never gets better. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse to the point where eventually they can kill you. And I just want women to understand that. Like, it's serious. It's a lot. And I do have a bracelet that I got, you know. I had a friend in high school that committed suicide, and then they passed out bracelets. And it basically just says, you are not alone. So I want, you know, anybody that's going through it and you're afraid, like, I don't know how to get out. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to walk away. You're not alone. You're not. There's groups. There's numbers to call. There's social workers. There's a lot. There's a lot of resources. You don't have to feel like you're going through it alone. You'd be surprised at how many other people in the world are going through the same things as you and are looking for the same thing as you. And that's just somebody to reach out. Somebody to ask, hey, are you okay? Do you need to talk? Do you need a shoulder? You know, anything. Like, just a simple, hey, how are you doing today? Or, hey, is there anything I can do for you? That makes such a difference when you're going through something like that. I'm telling you, if I had to have more friends when I was in that 3-year relationship that checked up on me and asked, how do you feel today? How are you doing? I probably wouldn't have been in that relationship. I probably would have had the courage to leave before it escalated and got that bad. But at the time, I didn't have people to talk to. So, you know, it was hard. But I'm not trying to drag this video out and make it long. I just want to get the point out. Like, my situation is minor. There's some women out there that don't make it out. There's a couple women I know that didn't make it out. So, you know, just ask for help. If you don't know what to do, just ask. Just ask somebody. Reach out to somebody. Talk to a friend. Tell your parents. Like, you'll be surprised at how much your parents will support you. So, with that being said, I'm going to end this video. I've been saying I was going to make it for like a week now. And I just finally had the time to sit down and actually like record it. So, that's all I really wanted to talk about. And just know, like, you're not alone. You're not alone in it. You know, if I can help you in any type of way, reach out to me. All of my stuff is in my About Me. You can message me. You can email me. You can DM me, anything. Instagram, Facebook, Snap, YouTube, anything. If you want to talk, if you need an ear, if you need a friend, let me know. I'll be there. I don't care if you're just a subscriber. I don't care if you bashed me before. If you're going through something like that and I can help you in any type of way or give you any type of outlet on life or any type of advice, I would do that. I'm sorry. I would do that. Like, I'm not the type of person to be like, we beefed out, so I'm not about to help you, or I don't have nothing to say to you. No. If it could save a life, I'm all for it. So, that being said, that's that video. And it's a raw video. I told y'all I'm doing all raw videos from now on. Ain't no edits out. Ain't no fixing nothing. You getting it straight like this. So, that being said, I'm out of here. I'm about to post this. And I have to start on another video for y'all. So, thanks for watching. And I'm out of this piece.